Alright, hey, how's everybody doing tonight? It's TVB. I'm here once again with,
M.
Yeah, we're here once again with M, and, so, we're recording this right after we recorded, like, our spoiler-free review for Jurassic World Dominion. So this is gonna be the spoiler talk for Jurassic World Dominion, and obviously, if you haven't seen Jurassic World Dominion, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, don't watch this, you'll get spoiled.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if you haven't seen Dominion and you don't want spoilers, well, I don't know, I clicked on this video in the first place, so go watch something else. But yeah, I don't do too many spoiler talks on my YouTube channel. I don't know, it's just never really, I very rarely feel like doing that. I did a spoiler talk for Infinity War, Endgame, Godzilla King of the Monsters, and yes, I think this is, if off the top of my head, I think this is my fourth ever spoiler talk, because this is like, as far as I know, this will see the finale of the Jurassic Park series. Supposedly, we'll see how long that lasts. We'll see how well this video ages, I suppose. So yeah, like, there's just a lot to unpack, because like we said in our spoiler-free review, like, the trailers did a great job at, like, giving you a basic idea of, like, what was gonna happen in the movie, but there's still a lot of things that I wasn't expecting, like, in the trailers, when you see, like, that big cloud of locusts,
I didn't know what that was.
I thought charging at the kids. I thought that was like just a big ass flock of like Rhamphorhynchus or Dimorphodons or some like tiny pterosaurs that are just like conglomerate and just swarm places.
Yeah,
but
I was not expecting bugs to be something in this movie that was integral. I thought it was just going to be like, here's some ecological destruction that's happening because we're messing with dinosaurs, and so the species are doing different things than they usually would. So they're, like reacting to new species in the environment, so they're going crazy or something.
Yeah, I thought for a second, like when the movie started, we saw the locusts. I thought they were gonna like, oh, are they bringing back insects from the Carboniferous period too?
Like all the Carboniferous insects.
Mesotheliae that like, if you have arachnophobia, please don't look up a photo of mesotheliae or watch one of the episodes of Walking with Monsters.
Yeah, don't watch Walking with Monsters.
Like, or Arthroplura, the giant millipede ancestor, or like Meganera. There needs to be like a bug dragon type Pokemon based on Meganera at some point.
Oh yes.
Like a fossil Pokemon or something like that, because I know this video is about Jurassic Park, not Pokemon. But bug and dragon, that's the only typing that hasn't been paired with dragon yet in the entire Pokemon franchise. Pokemon Violet and Scarlet, make it happen. But yeah, I thought for a second, but then we discussed this on the car ride back to my place. It's like, wait a minute. How the heck would they get DNA from those 300 million year old insects?
And so I pretty much came up with this theory, and I don't know what their explanation was because they didn't really say in the movie, but I think it's because they're just regular locusts that are genetically engineered to be large and destroy crops so that other people have to buy their seeds for crops so they don't eat them. I don't think it's that they're like carboniferous animals that we found DNA for. They're just regular locusts that have been genetically engineered.
And as far as I know, everyone who had like a noticeable role in the first movie was actually brought back. Of course, we all knew that there'd be Laura Dern and Sam Neill and Jeff Goldblum. I was not expecting Dodson of all characters to come back. That still is, I know it's kind of a dead meme, but like that still is one of my all-time favorite memes. Like, Dodson, we got Dodson.
I was saying that to myself
cares.
when he showed up. I was like, nobody cares. But no, I cared a lot. I liked him.
Yeah, he was a surprisingly compelling villain.
Yeah. I think that he fits very well because he's a background kind of evil. You don't see him, but he's like a background threat in Camp Cretaceous. Biosyn is always doing crap behind the scenes. They've been hinted at forever. And so to see him, he wasn't like the head of Biosyn in, or was he? I can't remember. It's been a while since I read the books. He hasn't been on the scene for a long time, so it's kind of interesting that they swooped in where InGen just totally got destroyed. They swooped in and took the spot.
Yeah, and just like, the callbacks, again, like, the ending of this movie, when he's like, I think it's interesting how they made the Dilophosaurus as pack hunters this time around, because, I mean, whether they actually hunted in packs back in the Jurassic period
that is also book accurate, because in the book, Dennis Nedry is killed by 2 of them.
Really?
Yes. So, well, it's killed by 1, but there's more than 1 there. So it's actually pretty book accurate for this.
Yeah, because like of course the movies they stopped following books like
they probably couldn't build 50 little animatronics in the first movie for it. So
oh yeah, of course, and in yeah, I know that in the books, like, of course they had to tile it down for PG-13 ratings. So wanted to appeal to all audiences, but like the books, like the Dilophosaurus are way more brutal.
They're and they're not even small. They're giant. They're like big theropods. They
disembowel Nedry as well, right? Which,
they don't spit venom in the books. They just eat him alive.
Yeah, and I honestly, if you're like because Nedry's a big guy, if you're plus sized like Nedry, anything belly related has to be the worst way to die.
I don't care what size you are. That sounds horrible anytime.
No, just imagine like someone just cutting your belly open and just like just slurping your intestines like instant noodles. That was
very appropriate with Dodson at the end though, because he was trying to smuggle out embryos in a can and he dropped it and got eaten.
The Barbasol, the shaving cream can, even the can is dirty.
Yeah.
Like, it was dirty. It's like, I immediately thought, wait a minute, because I thought when Nedry dropped the Barbasol can, and when the Dilophosaurus ate him in the car, I thought the can was just lost forever. Yeah. But it's almost like the movie suggests that Dodson went back to Isla Nublar and dug it out of the mud and used it for biosyn.
That would make a lot of sense, though, because honestly, that's what he wanted in the first place.
But obviously, God knows how he did so in the first place.
I know, it's not explained.
That speculation is correct. And also, I kind of regret not making a video about this back when because I feel like I'm not the only one who theorized this, because you also theorized it as well. Yeah. I thought, like, when we saw Blue in the trailers, the baby, with Beta, her baby, I was like, wait a minute, if she reproduced by herself, then, Blue must have reproduced through parthenogenesis, which those of you who aren't super familiar with biology is like when animals reproduce asexually without mating. So like we see that in quite a few species, like a lot of lizards. Komodo dragons have been known to do that too. However, Komodo dragons, when they use parthenogenesis, the mother, all her eggs are male. So zoos that have Komodo dragons need to keep females with males as much as possible, because if she reproduces by herself and only gives birth to male like hatchlings, it'll kill genetic diversity in captive breeding pools. Yeah.
What was it wasn't the Komodo dragon. What was it they said that
they just said like, oh, we splice her DNA of monitor lizards, which includes lizards. Komodo dragons are the family of monitor lizards like Nile monitors and those guys. I love monitor lizards. Yep. They're so cool.
There's one at the pet shop down the road, and it scares the crap out of me because it's huge.
I think Komodo dragons are cute with their beady eyes and stubby legs.
They're adorable, but terrifying.
Yeah, so I thought that was like, oh, because we all know that, like, yeah, there's the Indominus, there's the Indoraptor, but, like, all Jurassic Park dinosaurs, they're all hybrids and mutants and have, like, DNA sparked with different animals. That's, like, I know people kind of scratching their heads the idea of dinosaurs in snowy environments, like, showcased in the trailer, but it's at the same time, because, like, oh, weren't dinosaurs cold-blooded? I mean, most dinosaurs definitely were back in the Mesozoic era, but, like, at the same time, a handful of them probably were endotherms, and since they're all spliced with DNA from different animals...
other things, there's... Like, I'm sure somewhere in there for resiliency or something, they've got some sort of weird mammal DNA spliced in there. Honestly, that's probably, like, it would be easier to produce a dinosaur that was hot-blooded, warm-blooded, because you're able to put them in any environment you wanted to build a zoo in.
Yeah, exactly. Or they could have used, like, DNA from, like, maybe some, cold-blooded birds, like penguins. Yeah. Which maybe is why the Pyroraptor, can dive and swim.
It looked a little ridiculous. If I'm gonna say there was one shot in the movie that took me out of it, it was the swimming raptor.
Yeah,
but underwater
at the same time, it's very cunning and intelligent. It was cracking the ice underneath like Jurassic Pratt and
it was definitely a cool shot. Alondra's. It was just kind of a little funky to me.
Yeah, but honestly, still a great job on a Pyroraptor. It's
the design is on point. Oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah. All of the raptor designs in this movie are great.
And yeah, so I theorized that, like, okay, so Blue may or may not have, like, gene splice with, like, reptiles are capable of parthenogenesis, and
you're totally right.
And I was right. Hell, I could have made a video and like that whole fan theory, and next thing you know, I could have like spiked and gone viral. And I was like, dang it, missed my window of opportunity. But I mean, in all honesty, I'm probably not the only one who theorized that right off the bat.
Yeah. 'Cause I know there were people who were saying that one of the Pyroraptors could have been the baby's father or whatever, Blue's mate. And I always kind of was skeptical of that theory because it just doesn't really look like it could be part Pyroraptor.
I mean, I'm assuming that Pyroraptor and Velociraptors weren't even from the same time in the Cretaceous period. I mean, one lives a few million years after the other because, some species are capable of having fertile offspring with other species.
Yeah, but these don't. They look totally like they don't look the same.
Like our ancestors, Homo sapiens did have fertile offspring with Neanderthals back in the Ice Age, and grizzly bears are capable of have fertile offspring with polar bears. Mm-hmm. That's why we have grizzly bears being a bigger deal in Alaska nowadays. And yeah, that was just
interesting theory.
Interesting theory, but not very likely. And also, I think it was the last shot of the movie is like, I was wondering throughout the entire movie, hey, where's that shot of trailer with all the horses running along the side of the Parasaurolophus? It's like, oh, it's enough for the end. Then we see the Ceratopsians walking alongside elephants in the African savannah.
Yeah, it's like coexisting
and then
animals.
I think it's interesting the Mosasaurus only appeared at the very beginning of the movie and also the very end.
Yeah.
Because I just made an animal fact video talking about the Mosasaurus, earlier today. We're recording this on a Thursday night, by the way, the 9th. And I was like, hey, that's our girl right there destroying the ship.
Yeah, I think they used the Mosasaur sparingly in this movie because they felt like they overdid it in the last two movies, maybe?
Perhaps.
They did that with all the dinosaurs that we've seen a lot of.
And then the Mosasaurus is like in harmony with the humpback whales.
I was like, nah, that thing would be devouring whales.
For some reason, now it reminds me of the scene in The Suicide Squad when Ratcatcher 2, is like, hey, wants to, because King Shark tries to eat her. Mm-hmm. He's like, Nanali, would you eat your friends? I have no friends. You have no friends? If you did, would you eat them? No. Then can we be your friends? She's like, friends. And they shake hands. I thought for a second Nanali was gonna rip off her arm and just eat it right in front of her, but no, that was like the Mosasaurus is friends with humpback whales.
I didn't believe that. I didn't believe it for a second. I was like, it would be eating it eats sharks, tries to eat boats. Of course
it's the Dominus Rex.
Yeah, it's gonna eat the whales. No way. My theory is it was circling the whales, getting ready to eat them.
Yeah, maybe. I guess that would have been too graphic for the last shot of the movie. And also, you mentioned this. There was like a family of T-Rexes. Yeah,
so there's at the end of the movie you see Rexy and these two other T-Rexes, and if you look at the markings and they're green and they're tiger striped, those are the Rexes from the Lost World that eat Eddie. They the ones that tear him in half like they're sharing spaghetti, then terrorize everybody.
His Lane and Tramp Dinosaur Edition.
Yes, those are the T-Rexes from there, and I know they are because they're a fan favorite. And of course they're bringing back fan favorite dinosaurs like the Dilophosaurus, so why not?
And also, people were teasing, I saw online people were like, oh, maybe the Spinosaurus will make another appearance.
We got really excited.
Yeah, the cave scene when
you see
Alan
the fin
and Ellie and Maisie are in the cave. I saw the fin come out of the water because the same shot that the Spinosaurus does in Jurassic Park 3 when it's chasing down the boat. But at the same time, it's the Spinosaurus in the third movie is the most universally despised villain in the entire franchise because people thought oh, it's so stupid, it killed T-Rex just to sell more toys. And I was like, but personally Spinosaurus is my all-time favorite dinosaur. It's they're bringing it back. And I was thinking if they brought back the Spinosaurus in the caves, what if it was a Mexican blind cave fish but times 1,000?
Yeah.
Maybe if it just swims in the caves and it's blind, so it's it just gets around by through vibrations.
Yeah.
Then I saw Dimetrodons. I was like, I wasn't completely surprised. I was
surprised with the Dimetrodons because I didn't think that I thought that they were such an early animal. I didn't even remember if mosquitoes had been around long enough to have been sucking their blood.
Yeah, exactly, because
they're proto-mammals.
They're mid-late Permian period again.
That's why I was confused.
Right before the mass extinction event.
I love them. I love them to death. That's one of my favorite, prehistoric animals. But it was so I saw it and I was my jaw dropped and I was oh what?
Yeah, because there's a misconception. Dimetrodons are not dinosaurs.
Yeah, no.
They're mammal-like reptiles. They actually have very similar teeth to ours, which is one of the bits of evidence that like, hey, we like mammals trace back their ancestry from reptiles because they have their sails that could use, you know, they heat up in the sun, and you know their teeth structures are similar to ours. You know, we don't have a mouthful of banana shaped teeth like a T-Rex's. We have teeth a lot like.
I've heard there's like theories that they had like pinkofibers, like fur like pinkofibers, and that was like one of the evolutionary stepping stones to hair, because like the pinkofibers and stuff like that. That became feathers also diverged into hair. Like they're the same materials.
Yeah, and you was talking about new animals that appeared here. Quetzalcoatlus, the brief scene that was. I mean, I understand why they used it sparingly. I find the whole like idea of Biosyn having just like this outpost of like, you know, scientifically accurate dinosaurs. Honestly, I would spend a day in Jurassic World before it fell to shit in the hands of the Indominus Rex. And I would spend a day in there just walking around.
Go to their college program that they apparently have.
Yeah, just go there. Like, again, the Therizinosaurus scene just reminded me. Like, I talked about this in the spoiler-free reveals, like, when, you know, Claire's, like, hiding in the pond, running away from Therizinosaurus. It's like, this is kind of like The Revenant, but replace Leonardo DiCaprio and a grizzly bear with, you know, Bryce Dallas Howard and Therizinosaurus.
Yeah, I liked the... I don't know if it's up for the debate or not, whether or not Therizinosaurus was an omnivore or a herbivore. I always subscribed to the thought that it was an herbivore, but it was extremely territorial and used its claws for intimidation and warding off predators, because it was a large target that would have been easy to attack because it was kind of big and lumbering. So that's how I've always seen it. But in the movie, I liked that they portrayed it with this aggressiveness. Because even if it was kind of, I don't know whether or not it was meant to be an omnivore or predator or a herbivore in that movie. I could not tell, honestly, because it attacked the deer. So I was like, is it territorial? What's going on? Is it going to eat it? But I still liked that it was so, like, I'm ready to kick your ass if you come anywhere near me, because that's exactly how I imagine the behavior.
In high school, I remember showing my friend a picture of Therizinosaurus in one of my dinosaur books. He's like, dude, that's like Edward Scissorhands right there.
It is, man.
And yeah, the Giganotosaurus, you know, the last fight scene when like T-Rex and Therizinosaurus team up and kill the Giga, that was a really cool fight scene.
It was cool.
Not as cool as T-Rex in blue versus Indominus, though, in my opinion. I thought like...
Yeah, it really felt more like Therizinosaurus versus Giga, and then T-Rex comes in and helps at the end, not T-Rex. That reminds me of the one thing I'm upset with this movie for, and it's that they didn't let the original trio recognize Rexy at all. They were just like, oh, it's a T-Rex.
Yeah, it's like most of like the OG dinosaurs, you know, from the first film take quite a backseat, which I think is simultaneously a strength and a weakness for the movie's narrative, because we want to see like our old favorites like the T-Rex, but at the same time it's like this is all the new dinosaurs really worked well for the story. Yeah. I mean, again, the whole idea, again, I'm glad they didn't do more genetically engineered hybrids like an Indoraptor, like how they introduced that other like raptor species that like, hey, we nurture this thing so it knows to attack like when we point lasers at it. The Malta scene when that was a very well executed action scene.
Really liked those were the, what were they called? The something raptors, Atrociraptors.
The
Atrociraptors, I liked the idea of them. I still don't care for the militarization thing, but I like the idea of an independent group of thugs training raptors to attack people like attack dogs.
Again, this whole like Jurassic World, to me, like the whole premise of like dinosaurs coming to the mainland, like next thing there's poachers, like, you know, again, another scene that reminded me of Revenant when the poachers are like they capture Beta and Maisie. Like, I just like that whole idea, you know, there's a whole black market for dinosaurs and dinosaurs being smuggled and bred illegally for purposes like that. It's just, there's just so much potential for this world that I really hope, like, if we don't get
TV series, man.
If we don't get like a 7th film after the events of Dominion, I can live with that, but there needs to be like more done with like the events between Fallen Kingdom and Dominion, because it's just so fascinating to me. Like, you know,
do like a Breaking Bad with dinosaur trading underground or something, like someone entering the black market as a newbie and learning the ins and outs of the dinosaur trade that's illegal, or something like that. I don't know. I think that would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, we're going back to T-Rex and Giga. The first, like, you know, the scene where we first see those two dinosaurs interact, T-Rex wants to take the deer, then Giga's like, no, that's my deer, and T-Rex whimpers and backs off. That was so animalistic. See, obviously, I love me a good T-Rex versus whatever other dinosaur fight scene as much as the next guy, but you need to understand that dinosaurs like Giganotosaurus, T-Rex, Spinosaurus, all of them, as ancient and massive and powerful and deadly as they were still animals.
They didn't want to fight each other. They'd rather live to see another day than beat the crap out of each other. They were
just as mystical as like a cat or a dog. Because, like, you know, a lot of people don't know this, like in the African savannah, lions steal food from hyenas way more than the reverse. Like, literally a pride of lions will show up to like a carcass that a bunch of hyenas are eating at, and the hyenas, they do exactly what Rexy did to the Giga. They just back off and run away. It's like, understandable, have a nice day. Yeah. Because, like, nobody wants to argue the pride of hungry lions. Just like how T-Rex doesn't want to argue with a hungry beast that's, like, even bigger than she is.
Yeah, would you rather have a nice meal that's you don't have to fight over, or risk getting a broken leg for one little scrap of meat?
Or worse.
Yeah, like, you would probably just leave and find something else that wasn't being stolen from you.
And honestly, again, if I lived in this world, if I really did have to, like, defend myself from, like, dinosaurs reclaiming the earth, again, the whole dino apocalypse, I would be a lot more worried about raptors and smaller predators and, like, the massive ones like T-Rex or Allosaurus, because we're like a sushi roll compared to, like, a T-Rex.
They would not bother with us.
And again, tying back to African savannah, lions don't really go after babies. They always go after adult gazelles, but not the babies, because they don't want to, when you're that big, you don't bother something that small. You're not going to, like, get any nutrients from it. Meanwhile, if I saw a T-Rex, I'm assuming it would probably just leave me alone and try to, like, find something else to eat.
I think about it more like the lions don't like to go after meerkats unless they're starving, because it's not much food and it's more trouble than it's worth, honestly.
Yeah, because they're so small and quick. Meanwhile, if I was confronted by like a Deinonychus or like a smaller predator, like a raptor of some kind, that thing definitely sees me as like a proper meal, because, you know, we're like roughly the same size. And also, I can hide in a house from a T-Rex. You're not hiding in a house from a velociraptor.
Yeah, no, the T-Rex is gonna see you go in the house and it's gonna go, whatever, I'm gonna leave. The velociraptor is gonna chase you in the house, like try to break your windows and stuff and get in. Because for you, it's worth it. Like, to them, it's going to be worth it to get at you.
Again, the callbacks, again, with the Giga scene, Ian Malcolm, because one of the dumbest decisions he made in the first movie was he lit the flare with a T-Rex, trying to bring it away from him, and got seriously injured in the process.
But this time he does it for an actual reason, to keep it from eating Maisie and the other people as they go up the ladder. So there's a real reason for it in this one.
I am disappointed, though, that, like, the line that he says in the trailer is, like, bigger. Why do they always go bigger? That was only for the trailer. I was like, oh, man, you gave us that in the trailer, but you didn't put it in the movie. It was like, you know, it's like, there's the Ian Malcolm we all know. Like, it's no more this, like, glorified cameo bullshit we got in Fallen Kingdom. Like,
I was so happy that he was just full on in this movie. And he is the most Ian that is ever Ian. He's exactly who you think he would be in this scenario. Like, if you put the first movie Ian through the events of Jurassic World, this is who comes out on the other side.
Exactly. And, of course, we gotta talk about your ship.
Oh my gosh. Ever since freaking since Jurassic Park, I have been screaming that, it was Jurassic Park 3. I have been screaming that Ellie and Grant weren't together. I was like, why? There is no reason that she's not married to him. I'm so angry.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely are. They're together in the first movie.
Yeah, I'm like,
but there's never, like, an on-screen kiss. And then, like, the Jurassic Park 3 rolls around.
And she's, like, married to another guy.
For some reason, they broke up, like, after events, in between the events of the first and third film. And then, you know, she's divorced now. I mean, I like how they still... Jurassic Park 3 is still canon for this movie. Like, the events still
they didn't
matter.
Destroy Jurassic Park 3.
But at the same time, you still don't need to watch Jurassic Park 3 to really know what's going on. You see them, like, catch up at Alan's dig site, and he has, like, oh, how's Mark? And she's like, oh, Mark and I are, like, oh, sorry. But that was just like a little throwaway line. So we know, hey, like, you know, she's single again.
I really liked how they fleshed out. It wasn't just Grant likes her. It's like, here's you. It's not just like, I like you. It's, here's 50 different times that he's just smiling at her. And he's like, you can see that he just wants to be with her so much. The only thing I don't like about that is how quick and throwaway the I divorced my husband thing was. I would have liked it to be more like, she's like, yeah, it just didn't work out, and Grant was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, he genuinely was upset for her because he likes her.
Yeah, he wasn't just like, oh, she's single again, I can finally make the move. Like, no, it's like, you know, yeah, of course the infatuation's still there on his end, but he still like feels bad that
because
she went through that.
It's like, you can tell he loves her, and if he was hurt in any way, it would hurt him. So I felt like that everything else in the movie was 100% in character, but that wasn't in character for me, and I think that's where the first half of the movie kind of lost me. I wasn't sold on the characters in the first half of the movie for some reason. I didn't think they were themselves, and I was dreading that it was going to be like that the whole movie, but they caught me. They grabbed me and shoved my face into these characters, and it was like, here's the characterization, they're exactly who you remember, and they are. Like, I'm so surprised they were able to do that.
I just want to look up, Bryce Dallas Howard is 41 years old, and while we're talking about, like, you know, love interests in this movie, she looked fantastic.
Yes.
And I like this scene where, like, the new girl, hang on, I just pull up Rotten Tomatoes really fast. Kayla, you know, the pilot that saves them from Malta, it's like, you know, of course they're separated because Jurassic has to eject himself from the sea. Mm-hmm. Although she ejects herself from the sea because, like, hey, I love you, like, you be safe, and she's like, you know, I like redheads too.
I think she's the best she's ever been in any of the movies in this movie. She's so likable. She's such a mother character. Like she has a personality. She's not a cardboard cutout. She makes you like her. She has interactions with Ellie Sattler. She's the best she's ever been, and I honestly didn't like her in either of the movies before this, and she won me over.
Yeah, no more that stupid, like, run away from the T-Rex in high heels nonsense from the first film.
Well, she was just so cold and detached from everything, and even in Fallen Kingdom, she still felt like she was kind of like, I don't know, something was weird with her. She was just, I don't know, she just wasn't relatable to me. I didn't really get her. But in this, she feels more like a person.
Yeah, and I like how they even brought back characters from, like, you know, Jurassic World with, again, I'm terrible with character names. Ramsey, I think, because his appearances were pretty minor and brief in Jurassic World, but he was still a likable dude. You know, works with, he is a coworker with, you know, Jurassic Pratt, and, like, they work with raptors together, and he comes back in this movie, you know, and, like, plays a pretty pivotal role in the whole Malta scene with, you know, helping them find the underground ring.
I like that they took Screamy Kid from the last movie and they put him in this movie, made him less annoying, made him an integral part of finding out where people were.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't really use him
again, I still like Fallen Kingdom despite the backlash it's received, but the one thing I definitely agree with, you know, is, like, Justice Smith was just, like, being nominated for a Razzie Award for Worst Supporting Actor. Yeah, he was very annoying in the last film. I just think,
I didn't hate him that much as an actor, but I thought his screaming just, it egged my soul. I hated it. I don't like the way he screams.
Yeah, exactly.
He felt like he was doing something in this movie and wasn't overused.
And him and Zia, the girl that, like, he was, like, partners with in Fallen Kingdom, they're pretty, I like how they were, you know, of course, yeah, bring all the characters back for the franchise, just not the Kirbys from the third film. Those two are still annoying to me.
No, leave the Kirbys far away from everybody.
Yeah, they brought them back from Fallen Kingdom, but they're just, like, there for the first act just to get the ball rolling for the film's narrative. You know, it's like they're still, like, you know, college students, like, hey, I just want to live a normal life, or, like, you know, normal-ish, because Justice Smith's character works for CIA.
Yeah, it's nice that they find a place to put them that, like, makes sense for their characters, but also allows them to do something without being integral to the plot, so we can focus on our original characters from the first Jurassic Park. And speaking of them, they steal the show. Every time they're on screen, they steal it. No one else is on screen when they're on screen.
Yeah, I know that like COVID, like Corona doesn't really exist in the whole Jurassic Park world, or like the Jurassic verse, I guess you want to call it. But it's like whenever I see characters in movies like wearing masks, like the scene when they like go into the facility to like get the locust samples. Mm-hmm. Like, I just think, like, oh, haha, like, they're wearing masks in a universe where it's not even cool to do so. And the scene where, like, they try to destroy the evidence by setting, like, all the locusts on fire and they fly out of the facility. That was
so cool looking. Oh
yeah, I was like, I thought for a second, it's like, oh, really? Like, it's not a locust's fault that they're in this mess, that's...
It's still, it said that they, like, decided that was the way they wanted to get rid of them, but I still think...
They're fireproof, they're flying all over the place, and just, like... And it's just like Armageddon fire falling out of the skies. I was like, oh my goodness.
The cinematography in those scenes was beautiful, though. It was all the cinematography in this. I think the camera angles and the lighting and the colors in this movie are better than the last two movies. I think it's so well shot. Just in terms of artistically, it's so well shot.
Yeah, and going back to like original characters, I watched Wicked binges, like, Jurassic Park characters, like, good to evil list, and they put Dr. Wu at the very bottom, like, he's the most evil character in the entire franchise, and, and for good reason. He does a lot of really messed up shit throughout, Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom, but he could, like, also, his hair is just, like, it kind of reminds me of Herman Lee from Dragon Force.
I was like, what happened to your cut, man? You look ridiculous now.
But you can see that he regrets, like, his actions, and he wants to, like, I thought he was gonna kill Maisie when he's like, oh, we're gonna, like, extract all your DNA so we can, like, reverse the locusts.
I thought he was gonna kill Dodgson. I really thought that he was trying to go behind Dodgson's back and kill him. That didn't end up happening, but I'm so glad that they didn't redeem him, but they let him realize his errors, because I think he wasn't a sustainable villain.
Yeah, he was definitely painted, he felt human.
He was very human. He realized that his ambitions had gotten in the way of what was right and what was actually needed to be done with his research.
Yeah, because in Jurassic World, he's completely apathetic to, like, the Indominus just, like, destroying the park.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, you asked for this. Like, you wanted me to make, like, you wanted me to make this genetically, like, engineered hybridization monster, so you got it. And in Fallen Kingdom, he's like, again, same thing with the Indoraptor. Like, they're fighting over the Indoraptor. It's like, dude, what are you doing, like, weaponizing this beast?
He becomes a lot more human. I don't know. I guess I don't agree. I think there's many more characters that are more evil than Dr. Wu, because he doesn't do things out of malice. He does them because he wants to further science. And there's freaking characters in this series that just straight up want money and don't care if people die, and I think that's
Nedry. I understand him being frustrated over not getting paid as much for what he did in the first
movie.
He
knew what was gonna happen.
But like, he just like when problems occur, like, he just blames everyone but himself, and he would still betray the company, like, left all his comrades were dead, and again got his comeuppance at the hands of the claws, I said, the Dilophosaurus.
Dr. Wu was full of himself and egotistical as hell. But I don't think he is the most evil person in the series. I think he's just really misguided and egotistical.
One thing I just realized is, like, the only characters that, survived the events of the first one that didn't bring back were the kids.
Yeah, I was kind of sad. I kind of, like, I know people hate them, but I kind of like them. So
honestly, I just want to see, like, forget the characters for a second. Like, where are the actors at after almost 30 years?
Yeah, I haven't seen them very much at all.
Yeah, I'm like, honestly dumbfounded, because I remember, like, I know this is your first time seeing Jurassic Park on a big screen.
Yeah.
I remember my friend Nick and I in middle school, they re-released it in 3D for its 20-year anniversary back in 2013 when we were, like, in 8th grade. So this is my second time seeing it, like, because we talked about this in the spoiler-free review, like, we went to a double feature, like, Cinemark was doing this thing where it's like, hey, we're doing back-to-back the original, the first film, and, Dominion, and there's, like, and it's like, I just can't believe that movie turns 30 years old next year, 1993. It's like...
it makes me feel old.
Yeah, like, I was born in 98 for crying out loud, and that still makes me feel old, too. And it's like, I just like want to see like where the actors are at nowadays. You know, like child actors. It's kind of like Abigail Breslin in Zombieland, and like 10 years later they gave Zombieland 2 Double Tap, and it's like none of the actors have aged a bit, except Abigail Breslin. She's only 13 when they filmed that movie, and now she's like MILF material. But yeah, and like I said, this is in my spoiler for reviews. Like this is the first like I walked in this movie wanting to love it because like for the longest time like I at least enjoy all Jurassic Park sequels, but the only edition of the franchise like I like consider like a masterpiece is the first one.
Yeah.
And now I can finally say, despite all the negative reception this film has received, on Rotten Tomatoes, I had a great time with with Dominion. Again, it's not a flawless like 10 out of 10 movie like the first film was.
It's not gonna win an Emmy. It's not trying to be profound or have some giant message like the first one.
No, it was made by...
And it doesn't have to.
No, it was made by Jurassic Park fans for Jurassic Park fans.
It's a summer blockbuster, and it's made to be that way, and that's how it is, and for what it's trying to be, it does it spectacularly.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, the trailers did a great job like giving us a basic idea of the plot, but didn't like give too much away. The plot's rather difficult to describe.
I think the marketing done by the team was amazing when they decided to do the preview at the beginning of other movies, because it kept people interested throughout COVID when this thing was delayed. Like, there was no loss in interest to this movie, I feel like even with the delay, people were still waiting for it, whereas with Godzilla vs. Kong, I just forgot about that movie for a while because there was nothing around and it got delayed like twice. And I was
yeah, it's like I remember being really excited for the New Mutants when I was announced like my senior year of high school, then delays. Oh, COVID's got delayed even more. And then, like, I saw that movie, August of 2020, like, when they reopened theaters, like, this shit is dead on arrival.
Yeah. So I feel like they did, despite being delayed, I feel like they did a good job of keeping the hype going for this movie. So, yeah, I'm very impressed that they were able to do that. So, overall, this is a good, for me, this is one of the better Jurassic, well, I guess you'd say Jurassic Park sequels, but for me, I like it as the best out of the Jurassic World movies.
Absolutely, and I do too.
I think it blows them out of the water, man.
Anything else do you want to say about Jurassic World Dominion, or you want to captivate it right here?
No, I think, that's about my thoughts on it. I think that I will be pre-ordering this, whatever kind of weird tin box it comes in, because it has a lot of rewatch potential, I feel like.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The charisma is off the charts in this movie with the characters.
I still have, like, the franchise collection, from the first 3 movies I got as, like, a Christmas present, like, long before Jurassic World was released. So there's gonna be, like, a 6-movie collection that's gonna be, like, ridiculously overpriced.
Yep.
Coming our way soon-ish. But, yeah, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. That means a lot. And, yeah, it's, like, this was my second most anticipated movie of the year, and I gotta say, I was not disappointed. All right, you guys rule. You have a fantastic night. Stay beastly.